Welcome, everyone. We're going to let everyone sort of get about 2 or 3 minutes to get into the Zoom room, if that's a thing. I think it is now. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. It's 11 o'clock. We're going to start at about 11:02. Going to let everyone get a chance to log in. We're excited today. I'm excited, Mr. Bakmani. Back from a short little hiatus.
But still profitable and busy. It was busy.
Yes.
It was very busy. And some of it had to focus with Stratford Hall, too. I'm just telling you.
Lots of good dinosaur stuff.
Yeah.
If you're wondering what's behind me, this is a picture of Jon Bachman here.
That was
a T-Rex.
Program I narrowly escaped with my life, which was...
And now you live to tell the tale, right?
And that's right. And that's after I was released from the hospital, right? So
maybe you escaped in that bubble right there. I don't know.
It was, as I said, the boy in the bubble or something.
Exactly. Welcome, everyone. You're still sort of coming into the Zoom room. I'm going to give everybody about 1 more minute to get their coffee, grab some kids, grab their grandparents, grab a friend, grab a dog, whomever you need to bring into this awesome talk that we're going to have today with Mr. Bachman here, the paleo, I don't know, king or something. Is that a good way to call you? What do you want to be called?
Let's see. How about paleo
Prince? Little alliteration?
Paleo Prince. Yeah, let's not go guru or anything like that, just how about a guy that's been into it all his life,
Okay, there you go. So welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get this thing started. Welcome to Stratford's second Science Saturday on the second Saturday of the month. It's a lot of S's. You can tell I like alliteration. I'm Dr. Kelly Fonto-Dietz. I'm the Director of Education, Programming, and Visitor Engagement at Stratford Hall. I'm an archaeologist, and a historian. So I straddle both the humanities and the science world. And we're here today with the one and only Jon Bachman, who is a paleontology expert, not a guru, as you told me to clarify.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and let this program start. I am excited. And go ahead, I'll pass the mic to you there, Jon Bachman.
Well, thanks a lot, Dr. Dietz. And it's a pleasure to kind of join everybody on a Saturday as we talk something that I've been involved with ever since I was just a very, very little guy. I mean, dinosaurs have played an important part in my life, and I just am pleased that I can have the opportunity to share this stuff with you. And also knowing that this is local. We're not talking, Utah, Wyoming, Arizona, whatever, or any other countries. We're talking just in our own backyard. So when we are going through this stuff, here's a couple of thoughts. And if you have a pen and paper, it might be cool to jot down some questions because they will happen, and there'll be an opportunity at the end of the program to ask questions, and I'll do the best I can to answer them. So maybe jotting down a word or two, about what does that mean, or what are you talking about, as something like that. And then I'll be glad to finish that up toward the end of the program. As I've said, I've been involved with paleontology pretty much all my life, and have had the good fortune of working with some internationally known paleontologists. The stuff that we're going to be talking about today, as I said earlier, is the stuff, the animals that lived in your backyard. They really did. They really lived in your backyard, but so long ago, 112 to about 112 million years. So again, welcome, and I appreciate the opportunity to meet everybody this way. So Kelly, I'm ready.
All right, so I'm going to be the Vanna White of the morning here. I'll be sharing the slides. Give me 1 second here.
Sure.
right? Try it again. Give it a second here. I think the dinosaurs have taken over. Why is it not working? Give me a second here.
You got it.
Be patient, please. Nothing like technology. See, the dinosaurs are mad at humans for creating this. Give me 1 second here.
I didn't say anything to upset them, you know.
So you know what happened? Hold on a second here. It's weird. Give me 1 second, everyone. So you want to talk about your favorite dinosaur besides yours while I'm trying to fix this mess here?
Sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about the time period. And though I'm going to be sharing that with you in the program, 112 million years ago is virtually impossible for the human mind to think about. I mean, we can say it and we can write it, but to actually conceive of it in our mind, there is really no way that you and I can understand deep time other than through things that we find, see, and study and compare. The work of a paleontologist is to unravel the ladder. How about that? The ladder of time, that each rung then on the ladder would be an age or a time period. And again, a lot of people think that, oh, this stuff was done last weekend or something like that. You know, there have been many, I would dare say thousands of people who have studied paleontology over the past, 300, 400 years. And you can count going back to, antiquity, people studying it. There we go. That's me. Anyway, so people who have been studying paleontology have been noticing fossils and things like that for thousands of years, but really studying it, really comparing and working out the details for the past 300 years. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready.
When dinosaurs roamed Fredericksburg, Jon Bachman.
Here it goes. Here it goes. Are you kicking the slides off? Then you're doing it, right?
I'm trying. There you go.
Okay, I'm going to read some of these, and you read them along with me, and think about this stuff. Okay, so here we go. How far back can you remember? I mean, how far back can you remember? Okay, next. And one of the things that I've come to realize is that as our age expectancy increases, we now meet more people that are 100 years old. 100 years old. Imagine, amazing. Next. And since we're talking about our backyard here, and really, Stratford Hall is part of the Northern Neck, and it's a stretch, but really Fredericksburg is a part of the Northern Neck also. And so we're kind of talking about everybody's backyard here, but Fredericksburg, Virginia, okay, has a very deep history, and you can see by those little sort of cameo pictures there, some of you can recognize. Okay, it's got a deep history. Next. But no one alive today, no one alive, has ever met anyone over 120 years old. Now, some people say that there are people over 120, but we've got to kind of go by documentation, what's written about them. But nobody's met anybody. So the only things we have are the stuff that people have left behind. Next. So, okay, so how about things that are 1,000 years old? 5,000 years old? Could you go back just one?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No worries.
I was getting, I could start there if if you want.
Just start there because it's not letting me go back for some reason.
Sure. Anyway, so we've seen like the Egyptian hieroglyphics, and then we've seen handprints on a cave that might be might be 30, 40, 50 or more thousand years old. So evidence exists. But how about 100,000 years ago, the picture of the mammoths? Or 10 million years ago, the picture of the Eocene terror bird that was there? Or 100 million years ago? Now, how do we figure that stuff out? Next. Well, we do have proof, real proof, okay? Not just sort of made up stuff, but proof. The living things over 10,000 years old. And I picked 10,000 because fossilization starts at that time. We have fossils. Next. And there are 5 basic types of fossils, okay? You got body fossils, and the skeletal remains you see in that picture there. Then you have molds and casts. That's the trilobites that you see, that little crustacean-like animal there beneath the skeleton. You have petrification. Petrification can take the place of, like, for instance, the wood. Is sort of like that petrified wood in the middle. And then footprints, there you go, on the right. And then on the lower right, one of them, actually a very valuable fossil for paleontologists, are coprolites, which is scat or poop. Okay, next. Now, this is something pretty cool, I think, that you need to think about. There are currently only 3,000 full dinosaur specimens recovered. 3,000. You guys can think of what 3,000 looks like. I mean, you can, I don't know, you go to a game or something like that and they tell you how many people are in the stands. 3,000 is not impossible to grasp. But there are tens of thousands of footprints, and they're being discovered each year. Footprints were in paleontology weren't really considered very cool. They were like, oh yeah, okay, footprints, fine, okay. But they've been showing up for a long time in reports and things. But paleo guys weren't really paying too much attention to them, except for the past 10 or 15 years. Because dinosaurs only have one skeleton, okay? But they can leave tens of thousands of footprints. Next. Now, okay, what you got here are the footprints of the animals that have been identified in the Fredericksburg area, okay? These and their relative size to each other. You notice the big guy down in the lower left there, that's Brontosaurus Borealis, which is a large sauropod. Now, footprints are not identified the same way skeletons are identified. And pretty much like common sense, you don't have a lot of the detail that you got in a skeletal, but you do have enough that you can group them into large categories. Okay, you see that up there in the very top, you see the Tyrannosaurus, and then you have the Gypsognathus, and then you have the Tyrannosaurus. They have they're the 3 types. Those are carnivores. Okay, those are the ones you don't want to meet. Okay, especially the big one there. Serrana. I'm trying to say it too. Tyrannosaurus Lenardi, which is the large predator dinosaur that lived in. Yeah, you'll see pictures of him.
Yikes.
See pictures of all these guys, okay? But again, dinosaur footprints are not categorized or classified the same way skeletal remains are, but they are grouped by category and are studied by paleontologists called ichnologists, I-C-H, ichnologists, who study footprints and trace fossils. Okay, so I'll give you an idea what the collection of guys that lived in Fredericksburg. We're going to see pictures of them in a little bit. Okay. Next. So, hey, let's all go way back. Okay, let's go back 112 million years ago. 112 million years ago. Next. Okay, this is what the Earth and the continental positions looked like 112 million years ago. Okay, a couple of things should jump out. You got your little pointer, Kelly?
Yeah.
Okay, point to find Florida. Yeah, now go up the East Coast. Right there. That's about where we're talking about. Notice the Atlantic Ocean is much smaller, okay, than it is today. Go down to between Africa and South America. Notice how close that was. This is
really close.
Very, very close. And again, these continents were spreading. They're moving away from each other. You perhaps have heard the term Pangaea. This was one of 3 times in the Earth's history where all the continental plates, and those big continents are called plates, and there are a number of smaller ones, came together. And they're coming together again. In about 130 million years from now, we should have another giant supercontinent on Earth. However, during this time period, now, Kelly, can you go to find Florida again? Okay, now go 11 o'clock. Go up to 11, go up. Yeah, keep it going. Now go left. Go left. There you go. What do you see? You see an inland sea. And this is really important to the dinosaurs of Virginia and the ones in Fredericksburg, and I'll explain that in a minute. But you notice that the inland sea went all the way to the Arctic. Because during the Cretaceous time, this was the warmest time period on the Earth. And even though dinosaurs lived in what is now Alaska and the Arctic, the axial tilt of the Earth remained the same. So you still had like 2 months of darkness up in the Arctic and 2 months of light at the Antarctic. But go down, find Australia. Okay, check that out. Australia was moving away from what is now known as Antarctica, and it was moving out. So now find the continent to the left of Australia, that one. Okay, that guy would eventually crunch into Asia. Look how far it would have to go. So right now, all of the continents are in motion as I speak. We're all moving around, okay? You want to know how fast? I'll tell you. About the speed of the growth of your thumbnail. About 1.5 inches a year, these giant plates move around. And this has a lot to do with climate and has a lot to do, I mean, you can imagine, with climate and the fact of, you know, where the dinosaurs lived. Okay, enough of that. Next.
That's interesting.
Now, this is a herd of Cararachniums. These are, so that's the picture. But the verbiage says this was the warmest time period on Earth's history. Dinosaurs roamed freely over what is now eastern Virginia, leaving tracks, etc., in muds and sands. Dinosaurs are like birds, okay? They behave like birds. Not all of them. Now, some of the large theropods, the 2-legged carnosaurs that we're going to meet in a little bit, they may have been solitary or worked in packs. But your herbivores, big ones like these guys. And by the way, I have behind me, and I'm going to hold this up. I have an iPhone to give you an idea. This is the footprint of one of those animals that you see in the picture. Okay, I'll give you an idea. What's this telephone? The iPad's about what, 6 inches long?
Yeah.
This footprint could support an animal that would weigh between 5 to 10 tons.
Goodness.
Yes, these were huge animals and have a lot to do with why we found the tracks. But anyway, so this warm time period in Earth's history, dinosaurs behave like birds, the herbivores especially, and would flock together and behave pretty much like bird flocks today. Okay, Kelly showed you the inland sea. This is another picture of it, but there's something cool here too. We had our own name for our half of North America at this time period, the mid-Cretaceous, 112 million years ago. It was called Appalachia. Now, the one on the far left, I don't have named, that was Laurentia. Okay, and again, it was separated by a sea. Now, this sea was transient. It would move back and forth, up and down, but this is just one snapshot in the mid-Cretaceous 112 million years ago. So we lived, and the arrow shows you approximately where Fredericksburg would be, okay, in this, in the continent of Appalachia. Next. Separated by the inland sea, the eastern side of North America had its own collection of dinosaurs. Now, this is another one of those representative jobs, you know, that pack all the dinosaurs in one picture, which is cool, you know, just so you can kind of see the coloration and things like that are up to the artist's rendition. But I want you to notice in this picture that crocodiles, or crocodylomorphs, as they are properly known as, lived in, also birds. That was a pterodactyl. That's a pterodon or a pterodactyl up there above the one dinosaur. But birds were flourishing in the mid-Cretaceous. And so that's representative of Appalachian dinosaurs.
Bachman, you're going to be doing an episode on birds in a couple of months, correct?
I'm doing one called Yes, and it'll focus mostly on the birds that lived here about 16 million years ago.
Fantastic.
And how we know about them. It's called Birding the Miocene.
Cool.
Coming up. Okay, next. Between the Atlantic coastal plain region and the Blue Ridge and Piedmont, you guys should be hip to that, is a thin band of rocks from, whoop, can you go back?
Sorry. Oh, God. Yikes.
That's okay. I can talk through this.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, that's cool. You see that blue line there? Those blue, that's the only area where mid-Cretaceous rocks can be found. Now, point to Fredericksburg. Yeah, I can see Fredericksburg right there. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the animals that I found and Dr. Weems and I found in the Fredericksburg area. But that one thing should jump a little bit at you, and that's like, oh, there's not a lot of rock to be found. That's true. So one of the most common questions people ask me is, how do you know where to go? Well, hey, you got to get geological maps that show the stuff that's marked in blue. Now, you believe me, you can find it. It's been documented and researched. All you have to do is just, learn to identify the key on the maps that give you an idea. So anyway, Dr. Rob Weems and I are pretty familiar with this band of Cretaceous rocks. So over 100 years, people have been trying to study this stuff. Bones and tracks of dinosaurs had been found in Maryland, but nothing had been found in Virginia. Next. Until two discoveries in 1997 and 2003 changed all that. Okay, the first was along Route 1, 5 miles north of Fredericksburg, across from the now, you ready, Victor's Hotel, Cottages, and Restaurant. Actually, it was Victor's Hollywood Hotel, Cottages, and Restaurant, but anyway. And the second along the Rappahannock River. Now, these were found in that band of blue that I had shown you. I had gone to collect fossil plants across along Route 1 when I found some fossils and later identified as dinosaur tracks. And then a big suite of dinosaurs showed up on both sides of the Rappahannock, pretty much, and I'll show you in the next picture, close to Cosner Park, which is on the Spotsylvania side, pretty close to a wastewater treatment plant. Next. This photo shows Little Falls Boat Ramp. And if you live in the Fredericksburg area and you're going out Route 3, you've seen the sign that says Little Falls Boat Ramp. Okay, well, if you drive down that road and end up on the ramp and, walking out there on the Stafford side of the Rappahannock River, you can see the outcrop of these mid-Cretaceous, remember the blue things in on the map that we looked at, that is where in October of 2003, Dr. Weems and I hit pay dirt, okay? Next. These, and you've seen this before, these are the tracks we found. Now, some of these tracks occurred in other areas. Remember about one spot that I found? This is the collection of all the mid-Cretaceous dinosaurs that lived in the Fredericksburg area. Next. All right, I really like this picture. This is really kind of like, okay, Fredericksburg, you know, 112 million years ago. And take a moment to look at the trees and the animals and see what a natural scene this would have been. Again, there would have been the dinosaurs would have been everywhere, along with some tiny little mammals and of course birds and things like that. But these were the dominant life forms on the planet 112 million years ago. Next. Most of the dinosaurs from that time were small, no bigger than turkeys, okay? The large footprints that I showed you, and like the one right here behind me, represent only a very small fraction of all the animals that would have lived at this time. So, I mean, when you find a large footprint like this, it's because it's a big animal. Little animals don't leave footprints that preserve as well. But they do preserve, and we have found small footprints of dinosaurians and crocodylomorphs in the blue, remember the blue sediments from like roughly Baltimore down to Richmond, that little mid-Cretaceous belt. We have found those. But anyway, this gives you an idea of some of the little guys. Next.
Super cute.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to bring some home. This is an important slide because a lot of people say, well, yeah, okay, fine, great. How do you know what they look like? You know, well, okay. On the left, you see the front feet of a Brontosaurus, or okay, that front foot peg-like thing was indentation. Was made by a juvenile sauropod. That picture was taken from a place called Government Island. There are a number of these footprints that we found there. We've also found them on the Stafford side, and we found them on the Spotsylvania side too. So what you do is you look at the footprint. Okay, you got the hole in the ground. Then you think, okay, you check the literature, and you notice that the front, could you put your pointer at the front feet of the, yeah. Okay. Those little front feet are different from the back feet. The back feet have large claws. The front feet are more like hooves, okay? And so this hoof-like impression is a dead giveaway for sauropods. Okay, so then you check more literature and you say, okay, what's the time period? And you go, oh, mid-Cretaceous, good. Okay, and then you say and the footprint matches sauropod front footprints. Okay, so then you can kind of extrapolate the picture to the right of the skeleton. This is pretty much what they look like. Okay, yeah. So now I'm real proud.
Yes. Sorry. I've been waiting for this one.
There it is. Okay.
Looks just like you, John.
Yeah, well, I don't think they got the eyes right. But anyway, so it's not a picture necessarily of the one I found, Tyrannosaurus Bakmani, which is a small tyrannosaurid. This boy here, let me get my guy out. This DeLong paradoxus is a larger version of an early tyrannosaurid. Tyrannosaurids are a family. There's not just Tyrannosaurus rex. There's about, and I know I'm wrong here, but I'll say there's anywhere between 18 to 25 different Tyrannosaur type dinosaurs. These are large, well, no, small, 10 small theropods. Theropods are dinosaurs, generally carnivores, that ran on their back 2 legs, right? The front little hand-like things, their little front arms, were used for grasping and holding down prey, while their back legs took care of large pieces of meat along with their teeth. Now, I was real happy. I got this really cool Tyrannosaurus Bakmani, now one of the smallest tyrannosaurs ever found. But there it is. Okay, next.
How do you feel about finding one of the smallest and it being named after you?
It freaked me out. It took 1.5 years to get it named after me, and they didn't tell me they were naming it because they didn't want to say anything, because you have to check just innumerable records and documents.
I bet.
To make sure that this is correctly named, because once it goes into the taxonomy, once it goes into the classification system, it's pretty
much stuck. So is that, just to interrupt you really quick, is it common to name, like, for instance, Rex, right? Did some dude named Rex find T-Rex, or like what's the deal with naming?
Rex was king. He was big. They slapped Rex on there, the Latinized, for king.
Okay.
Largest. No, this is just one affinity that they can use for naming.
That's cool.
They would give it to the guy that found it. This, which I'm going to try to show you, is the cast. Now, this is plaster. This is what I saw in a block of sediment from that mid-Cretaceous stuff along Route 1 that I freaked out about, and I said, oh my God.
So that's it, huh?
Yeah, that's
the cast of Bakmani.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And the originals, the rock, with the Smithsonian, and there are other casts that are with Philadelphia Museum of Science. But yeah, when I found it, I didn't believe it. I had worked on the Culpeper Quarry for years with Dr. Weems, and that's 100 million years earlier. But when I saw this tridactyl, that's what they call it, with the 3, a turkey foot tridactyl print, I called up Dr. Weems and said, hey, I got something you got to see. You're not going to believe this. So I drove up to his offices in Reston and met him in the parking lot, like kind of weird. Anyway, so I said, hey, Rob, I said, what do you think of these? He says, oh my God. He says, I think you found them. This is the first evidence of dinosaurs that had ever been reported from Virginia from the Cretaceous. And this and smaller ornithopod dinosaur, which we'll see in a minute. And this is pretty cool. I'll show you this. These, if you can see them, see those
little tiny seed-looking things?
Yeah, those little seed are the tippy toes of a frog.
Oh, so cute.
And those are the only ones that have ever come down to us in science. So, hey, Stafford County.
Sweet.
Frog Kingdom. Anyway, there he is, Tyrannosaurus Bakmani. I'll talk to you later, buddy. Okay, next.
I want to go to Frog Kingdom. That sounds amazing.
Now, this is the bad boy, okay? This guy would weigh in between 6 to 15 tons. He was the top predator. This is the apex predator. Perhaps you're familiar with that term. It's Arenosaurus glenrosensis, okay? Or if you're going to look him up, in dinosaur books or something, Arachnothosaurus. Now we have skeletons of him, and now we have the track of the guy big enough to hunt the sauropods. Next.
Wow.
We're going to go through these fairly quickly. Hypsilonicus merolendicus, a small herbivore. And herbivores didn't also.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Herbivores ran on 2 legs too. Here's Tetrapodasaurus Borealis, which weighed in probably, it's about the size of a Volkswagen. It's Beetle.
Kind of big.
Big. Next. Okay, Saripas Lenardi. This was another large herbivore. They primarily walked on all fours, but could stand and move around, obviously, on their back tridactyl feet.
What's up with his face? Is that his like a big weird nose? Like what's going on there?
It's a hard beak in these hadrosaurs. Now remember, this is a photograph. The picture is of a interpretation of a skeleton that exists. This is a footprint of what we think would have been made by that animal. So there's a leap of faith here between what they look like in the picture, but it's pretty close. This is a hadrosaur. Yeah, they had a hard, beaky forehead. Some of them did, but there are many different species of them. This is just one. But they're
pretty cool.
Yeah, okay. Next. Okay, Carachnin cortimiri is the footprint. Actually, it isn't. The Carachnin. Anyway, this is another herbivore, large herbivore. Next. Some of the smaller guys, more bird-like. Notice the feathers for the artistic interpretation.
I would be so mad if I had feathers like that and I couldn't fly.
Well,
I mean, maybe.
You got to see Mr. and Mrs. Ornithomimopus. Augustine. Okay. Now here is another. This is a smaller theropod carnivore, Gypsignites.
Carnivore, huh? I guess I wouldn't want that as a pet.
No.
Cutie.
It'd be like, come on, we've all seen this stuff about alligators and crocodiles, attacking people.
Yeah.
This is a herd of sauropods, brachiosaurs, and we think that the Brontosaurus Borealis, again named, remember you name them differently, but this is probably the footprint of, you have the front foot is called the pes, P-E-S. The back foot is called the manus, okay? So this is a manus and pes of a Brontosaurus Borealis. We have the footprints of a very large one, probably in excess of 70 feet.
Wow.
Next. This is another one that was just recently identified by Dr. Weems from imprints on stone that makes up part of the wall of the Sunken Road, which is part of the Fredericksburg battlefield. Right there at the visitor center, there's a number of stones that were excavated from back in the late 19th century and then reused throughout the Fredericksburg area, some of which ended up in the Sunken Road wall. And just recently, this Gilardi was also identified and named, okay? It's estimated that only 5% of all living things, everything, left fossils. That means that 95% of all living things are unknown to us. These few little fossil windows into the deep past help us make sense of a world that was very different from ours. And the challenge is to continue to look and to compare and share the treasures that we uncover. Next. And that was Stafford 112 million years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's it.
That was awesome. So interesting.
Yeah, so again, we started collecting these footprints in 1997 and from that discovery, and then 2003, and now some new ones are coming to light that I just had a chance to visit last year and this year on that government island. Same rocks, same little blue line of rocks, right? The blue line, you got it. Okay, so I guess we're opening to anybody that wants to ask a question, and I'll do the best I can.
Sounds good. All right, everyone. Any questions at all? I think that was the first time we've gotten through a whole lecture without questions as we're moving through.
Yeah, well, I hope
Anything you want to ask the Prince of Paleo? I'm going to stick with that until we find something better.
PAP or Prince of Paleo. Yeah, if you got any questions about dinosaurs and stuff, that'd be cool. You know.
Any questions at all? I think everyone's in awe over all the pictures. It's pretty cool. So thanks for clarifying the whole naming thing. I always wondered about that. You know, it's pretty lucky of you to have a dinosaur named after you. It's pretty sweet.
Well, I mean, it blew me away. I mean, I was just flabbergasted, I think that people find dinosaurs, oftentimes people think, why are kids attracted to dinosaurs? What's up with that? Yeah, okay, because they're like monsters that can't hurt them anymore.
That's interesting.
They're big animals that look ferocious and were, no question, that these were, they would be like crocodiles, and nobody would want to mess with a world full of crocodiles, especially the ones that could run probably as fast as a horse.
Yeah, crocodiles terrify me. Okay, yay! We're getting questions. Okay, here we go. So the chat is disabled. We prefer all the questions to go into Q&A. It's a lot easier. So if you look down at the bottom, you'll be able to see the Q&A with the little tiny bubbles like in cartoons. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and just check on that. And yes, this will be, someone just asked, Terry asked if the recording will be available later. Yes, it will be on our YouTube channel with the rest of them. Katharina says, congratulations on the species being named for you. That is absolutely one of the coolest things ever. So Adrian asks, is there an area where the most dinosaur fossils have been found in the US or anywhere else? So where's the hot spot for paleo?
Hotspot has to be, you got to go out west because you don't have the erosion. You don't have the precipitation. God knows, what we're going through now in the United States with the terrible droughts out west. However, it's the dryness that preserves the tracks. And those, so if you had to go look, the place I would go, if I had one place to go to study dinosaurs, to see tracks, and to see the skeletal remains, it would be Utah. Utah is
dry.
Wyoming. Okay.
Very cool. Gina asks, how did you start in paleontology?
Hey, everybody is captivated by ideas. I'm sure Dr. Dietz is captivated by archaeology and the studies that she's done, right? And
history generally, yeah.
We all are attracted to things, and I think the key to it is don't lose the fever. Stay with it. When I was a kid, this is the classic story. I was going to bring it, but I didn't. I get Life magazine every week, and Life in I believe it was 56, ran a series called Life on Earth, where it had these pull-out 3-page, 4-page jobs that were they actually are the Peabody Museum murals up at Yale of the dinosaurian evolution. I had never seen anything like it in my life, never. I was about 6, 7 years old. And I took them out and I put them on the wall and, would look at them. And I have always been fascinated. And I'll tell you the other thing is my grandfather worked in the coal mines of central Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
And he said, hey, John, come on down in the basement. I want to show you something. I was just a little kid and went down there. He had tin cans filled with fossil ferns that the miners gave him. And I had never seen anything like that. And from these early awakenings, all of us have things that we are intrigued with. So the message is early on for me, but if you got one, stick with it. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Charles says, are the footprints found at Sunken Road similar to footprints found at Belmont? Great question.
Oh, yes. Same age. Some of the ones that I've taken pictures of it on the Sunken Road are of the most common ones are the large sauropods. Big, great big, some of them 20, 24, 36 inches across, okay?
Wild.
The Belmont tracks, which are very cool. If you guys live in the area and you want to go see it, Belmont's got a walking tour that Dr. Weems and I did that show the different dinosaurs, and they've got them marked out. They've got a handout that they'll give you so you can find them and stuff like that. Same age.
Very cool. All right, Nancy, excuse me, asks, could you tell us again the size of your dinosaur? I love that you have a dinosaur, and where you found the footprints. Just reiterate that one more time.
Okay, 5 miles north of Fredericksburg, right before Potomac Creek, and now obliterated because they put in the access road to the airport, the Stratford Airport, and they just wiped out. There are still a couple, I gotta keep them secret. There's still a couple areas that they didn't destroy when they put in the access road to the Stratford Airport. So 5 miles, if you see the entrance to the the exit to, or the entrance to 95, to the airport, that's the road. If you take that road, you'll see the geology that I was attracted to. Now it's gone, but I must have collected 500 pounds of specimens, many of which I have it all. It's just that, and many I haven't gone through yet.
So cool. A couple of folks are asking about names. So I'm just going to go ahead and combine these together. Also, great lecture as one comment. So talk a little bit about why the names you used are different from the popular ones I remember from decades ago. So I know growing up, it's like, we have the simplified version of the Latin names. Was there a time when that happened?
Yes.
What's the deal with naming?
The naming thing, okay. Back in the olden days, and I'm going to say that's ended about in the 50s, every paleontologist found something new, named it. Now, our understanding of classification and the official word of taxonomy has improved tremendously, okay? And what we've noticed is there was a lot of redundancy in what they were calling them. Things that were juvenile specimens of an adult, and now it's easier to examine large collections virtually or electronically. And so you can really start seeing, wait a minute. So a lot of the names were thrown out, okay? So first of all, the names that we grew up with, the most common one is the Brontosaurus, the classic story of the Brontosaurus. Okay, the deal with Brontosaurus is it changed its name from went to Brontosaurus, then to Apatosaurus, then back to Brontosaurus, and it's like back and forth. Back. The problem was they were naming an animal that didn't have a head. So they had to find a head. Sauropods have those great big long necks. Well, the weak part of the neck is the atlas vertebrae, is up at the top, okay? And so when these animals would wash down the rivers or get, whatever, right, it would be separated, right? They couldn't find a head, right? So they took a head from something else and stuck it on something called a Brontosaurus, okay? And that's what in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s or later, that's what we all learned about, that's a Brontosaurus. Well, guess what? They found the head. They found the correct head, and they got it. And so they closed the big holes down until they got the new head put on. So naming has to do, I know this is too much information, but naming has to do now with carefully looking at the classification and taxonomy and the reports that are more easily retrievable now. To paleontologists, so you can compare them better. And so the names, it's cool to have one named after. I can't tell you, I freaked out about it. It was like, I got a picture of it, and I don't have it in the bedroom, but I have it. I have it.
You keep it in your wallet. As one of your children.
Little Tyrannosaurus. Yeah, naming is a very, very exacting science. The science of taxonomy is. You just don't throw a name out.
Cool. Adrian asks, what's behind you? I know you mentioned it during the talk, but you gave me a little bit more of a detailed, not thumb sort of description of it, but do you want to sort of just go over that left footprint behind you again?
Yeah, this would have been made by a Carorhynchium. I may be wrong. Okay. I'm thinking this is made by something that we grew up to call, perhaps you've seen the dinosaurs that have the long thumb spike at the end, right? Well, these large two-legged herbivores were pretty common. And I'm trying to think of the naming of, so the footprint behind us is big because it had to support a 5 to 6 ton animal or more. And generally they walked on 2 legs, but they used their front 2 legs to kind of stabilize themselves. So this is the back left foot of a very large plant eater.
Cool. Terry has a couple of questions. One, are there places around Fredericksburg where I can take my grandson to see actual footprints? And you mentioned Belmont trails. Are you referring to the Gary Melcher's Belmont estate in Belmont?
Yes, I am. Gary Melcher's estate and is open to the public. It's very nice now. I think it's open to the public now. You can, and if you go there, check in at the visitor center and say, hey, we're here to check out the dinosaur thing. They have a little publication that they can give you and actually give you a tour around it. That is a cool thing to look at. Now, another thing about footprint identification, a lot of people look at footprints and go, where is it? I don't see it. Remember guys like ichnologists and people have seen thousands of footprints, right? We're used to it. We're used to seeing the shape, tridactyl, this, right, digit, right? Oh yeah, hey, but most people don't. The next time you're down at a beach, maybe at Stratford or someplace, and you see bird footprints, or you're out in the country, you see turkey footprints. Hey, turkey footprints look like dinosaurian footprints. It's the same.
I guess same size as some of them.
Anyway, Belmont has them, Sunken Road has them, visitor center at the Fredericksburg National Battlefield.
Fantastic. All right, we have one last question here. Let's see if I can pronounce this correctly. Again, I'm not a paleo person. What destroyed most of the Cretaceous layer? Did I say that right?
Yes, Cretaceous,
Found in the Fredericksburg area.
What destroyed what now?
And what destroyed most of it? So what destroyed that layer?
Oh, we did. Buildings. We built stuff. And then after we tore stuff down, we used the rocks and the bricks and stuff like that for other building materials. So we destroyed the footprints. Now, the ones on the Spotsylvania side, I would call, you are accessible, but be mindful of the fact that everything's owned by somebody or something. So if you're going out there hunting around, looking along the Rappahannock River, just be of notice that, that you're probably going to be on somebody else's land. So the cool thing to do is to try to figure out where you're going to look and then ask permission.
Good advice. All right, that was our last question. Anything else before we hop off here? Please join us. Thank you all, before I even say please join us for the next one, but thank you all for joining us today. It was always fun to sit here and talk to Bachman about science stuff. And the next Science Saturday is going to be again on what? Want to give a little plug for that?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing one on the evolution of whales, specifically baleen whales, which are most common at Stratford.
And that'll be on the 14th of August.
You got it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Fantastic. All right, everyone, have a wonderful trip. Please come out to Stratford, visit us there. You'll see Jon sometimes walking along the beach, showing some folks some pretty cool things, and sign up for some of our paleo trips, and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Jon.
Thank you. See you guys later.
Thanks.